Hello, my name is Sheila and I would like to welcome you to my podcast All About You. I love to listen to podcasts and especially conversations with famous people. However, I think everyone has a story to tell. Maybe a place you have visited, a hobby you enjoy, or anything that you feel would be of interest. I want to have conversations with lots of different people and hear their stories. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on my email allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com. And my guest today is Callum. So Callum, welcome to the All About You podcast and thank you for being a guest.
Thank you, Sheila.
Now, we are recording via Skype, so fingers crossed the connection will work in our favour. So Callum, where are you speaking from today?
Well, today, Sheila, I'm speaking from a town called Montserrat. That's in the municipality of Valencia. More or less, let's say 35-minute drive from the center of Valencia. So this is where I am at the moment, Montserrat. It's a nice little town.
Right, so are you ready for your first question then, Callum?
Yes, go ahead.
So, do you like to travel by plane?
Well, this is an interesting question because when I was younger, let's say I wanted to be a pilot, and I was actually fascinated by planes. So my answer to your question is I really enjoy flying.
So when you fly, what do you normally do? Do you like to read? Do you watch a film on your iPad or do you sleep?
Well, generally, I like to sit next to the window if possible. And I spend most of my time actually looking out the window, just fascinated by being at such heights. Also, I listen to music, really.
I mean, for me, I absolutely adore flying. And when you go up through the clouds and you're sitting above those lovely white fluffy clouds, which I call cloud surfing, absolutely magical. You leave an airport and it's grey or it's raining and you go up above the clouds, the sunshine, the blue sky. And it's just amazing flying. I do understand a lot of people are frightened and my sympathy does go out to them. But I think being above the clouds, just the magnificence of those views.
Yes, exactly. It's the sense of freedom, I think, as well, that you feel. If you imagining that you're flying yourself, and not that you're actually in an airplane, that feeling it gives me is what I most enjoy.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing flying. So, Callum, are you a morning or are you a night owl?
I could say I'm a bit of both, if that's an answer, because no matter what time I go to sleep, I'm up early in the morning. Well, not anymore because of the current pandemic situation, and I'm a bit older, but I used to enjoy going out a lot, to the bars, nightclubs. But then even if I was out until, let's say, 5 in the morning, I'd be up again by 8 because it's just my body works in this way. I'm always up very early in the morning.
For you then, do you think your body clock has changed a lot during this pandemic? Because a lot of people are saying that they're just sort of, even if they're working from home, they've got that extra sort of half an hour or hour commute time to themselves. So they're waking up a bit later, getting out of bed a bit later. Has it had any effect on you?
Not so much in the mornings, but probably in the evenings. I actually feel more tired now in the evenings than I used to. I'm not sure the reason why, but I actually go to bed much earlier now than I previously did. But the mornings are still the same for me.
So another question then, what could you not live without?
Well, what could I not live without?
Let's take mobile phones out of the equation because I think we've all just become so reliant on those now.
Yes, I think the mobile phone is part of us. It's not actually a gadget anymore. So a gadget I could think of, well, one would be my laptop. I know it's similar to a mobile phone, but it's different because I work with my laptop, I study with my laptop, my entertainment is with my laptop. My laptop is basically, if I didn't have any friends, my best friend. But it's not the case, obviously. But yeah, my laptop is one gadget I could not live without.
So you're quite techie then. You like your technology?
Yes, I enjoy it quite a lot, especially Apple products. It might be a bit of a controversial respond because some people don't like Apple, but other people love it. And I'm one of those that love Apple products.
So, Callum, do you have a special talent?
Well, I do have a special talent. I have various, but my main talent would be cooking. The reason for this is because I actually used to be a chef. So I've worked in catering since I've been able to work, let's say. And now I'm actually a teacher, both in English and Spanish. But my special talent would be cooking.
So, where did this come from? Were you helping your mum in the kitchen when you were little, or?
There's a mixture in this equation. Initially, I first learned how to make scrambled eggs with my mum when I was probably about maybe 6. I don't think I was any older than that. But then it was actually my granddad who had an interest in cooking, and he went to Italy to learn Italian, but also do cooking courses. And from when all of this began, he started to do lots of cooking. So every weekend, I would go to his house. Well, the whole family would go to his house because he wanted to prepare us a special dish that he had learned. And bit by bit, I felt more interested. I was always by his side, always watching everything he was doing. And I think this is where the passion for cooking actually came.
So, do you have a signature dish that you would cook to impress everybody?
It's not a let's call it a signature dish. I would say my chicken tikka masala is pretty good. I tried many recipes before and I also edited them, let's say, and eventually came across one that I really liked the result of it. And this recipe I've had for at least now 12 years and it's still the same piece of paper. I think I need to redo it because it's losing its color now, but it's my signature dish.
So, you're blending all your own spices to make the tikka masala.
Exactly, yes. I do the marinade in the chicken in a special sauce, and then obviously the sauce that you need for the actual chicken tikka masala.
Oh, very nice. So, if you could have a dream dinner party and you had 3 guests that you could invite, who would they be? They can be dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Okay, let me think. Well, as my granddad did pass away, it's 3 years ago now, actually February. I would have him back if it was just for the one meal. If I could choose the 3 people, my granddad would be one, as he's been a very influential person in my life. The second person would have to be it would have to be Adam Sandler.
Oh, the American actor.
Yes, I know his films can be a bit corny, maybe we could say, but I enjoy them a lot. I laugh a lot with his comedy. I just like how also in the daily life how natural he is. He doesn't worry about what people think of him and how he dresses. So I think it would be quite an interesting person to have a meal with. I don't know if my granddad and him would get along very well, but it's my dinner party, so I can choose the guests.
I think Adam Sandler would be very entertaining.
Yes, and my final guest, well, if it were at this moment in time, I would also invite my dad, even though my granddad isn't my dad's dad, it's my mum's dad, because he lives in the UK. I haven't seen him since January of last year, and I just think it would be nice to be able to see him in person again.
Yeah, so you've been doing a lot of Zoom and Skype calls, have you, to keep in contact?
Yes, I have to say I would have liked to have done more than I have been doing, but just time, I can't complain that I don't have enough time, but we don't seem to coincide well enough to do as much as I would like to.
Well, let's hope with the restrictions being lifted in the UK and fingers crossed the restrictions changing here in Spain. I'm not so sure when we'll actually be getting on planes. Looking at the news today, I mean, some of the airlines are talking about the summer, but I think we're just going to have to wait and see with that one.
Yes, my dad actually has bought a plane ticket to come to Spain in, I think, mid-June. He's not sure if it will be possible or not, but he said that he wants to be able to look forward to something in the future, or near future, let's say. If it's possible, let's hope that it is going to happen. If not, we'll just have to wait till further ahead in the future.
Oh, okay. Fingers crossed then. So,
Yeah.
Callum, do you have a pet hate?
Yes, I'm a very organized person. I've always been very organized since I was very little. I think I was actually had a type of OCD, but everything has to be in its place. Everything has to be organized. If someone moves something or I move it myself and put something in a different place, I'm completely lost. But this is with everything. Let's say my desk that I work with, or even just if I have my wallet in a pocket, it's always the same pocket. The day I change the wallet of pocket, I've lost my wallet, and it's actually on me, and I'm going crazy looking for it. So organization is, if that's not correctly done for me, I go a bit mad about it. I don't know why. It's just a pet hate of mine. Things not being organized.
I mean, I can certainly relate to that as well. I mean, if you're in a situation, do you sort of view the situation and think, okay, well, if this person did that, this line would move a lot quicker, or if that person did this, then we wouldn't all be standing in the line as long as we are, or something. Do you sort of analyze the situation in that?
Uh, yes, I would say so. Also because I think I'm a natural born leader, relating back again to when I was a chef, because I actually have been in higher positions as a chef. I've been as much as a kitchen manager, assistant kitchen manager. I also worked in the UK, not as a chef, but in catering as well, as a food and beverage supervisor. And it was something I loved about the job, was always having everything organized, being able to manage people, and you need to do this to be able to get to this objective that we have. So yeah, I would say I agree with what you've just said.
I think particularly in catering, because everything is time sensitive. So the customer will come in, browse the menu, and then they expect that food to be cooked and in front of them in a short period of time. So you have to do all the preparation in the kitchen. So what were some of the challenges you found working in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, well, initially I was just a line cook, we could say. I didn't manage anyone. Obviously, you have to begin at some point. It's actually quite difficult to take. I'm not sure if it's a strong word to use, but the abuse maybe that you get from your superiors, because it's a very high stressed job and things need to be done quickly and in a correct manner. So being able to cope with the pressure of people on top of you every single minute of your work day is actually quite a challenge, I would say.
So when we see Gordon Ramsay on the TV, effing and blinding, that is a typical chef.
Not exactly, no. It does vary on who the kitchen manager is. I think Gordon Ramsay might be a bit over the top, and I think it's a bit dramatic to make it better for TV. But there are some that are not far off how we see Gordon Ramsay. Also, though, I can say there are kitchen managers that are very loving people, very understanding, and it's the luck of the draw who you get as your boss, basically. But the stress of the kitchen eventually makes you be a bit aggressive. When I was working, for example, with the Hard Rock Cafe, I was the assistant kitchen manager. When we did the opening of the Valencia restaurant, it was crazy the amount of people that would come to eat. Well, obviously the novelty of it. We had two kitchens. We had a prep kitchen and the main kitchen. In the prep kitchen, we had about six working in each shift, and in the main kitchen, we were about 15. So you're in charge of these, let's say, 15 people in the main kitchen, and you have a screen with all of the different orders that people have been making. It got to a point where you can't see the orders that are behind the ones on the screen. You've got to keep moving to the right. So you might have actually not just one screen full of orders, but eight. So this tension actually made me also become not aggressive as such, but very, very demanding of the chefs in the kitchen. And if things weren't done right, I would now and again get a bit angry. And even at one point, that I shouldn't forgive myself about it, but threw a plate back at one of the chefs saying, "What's this? This can't be done like this. You know this, you've done this wrong already before. You're delaying us." I think even if you're not that type of character, it can bring it out of you.
I think, as you say, because it is such a high pressured environment, it's all about time, it's all about the amount of covers you have to deal with, the chefs, the actual physically cooking of the food, things go wrong, things get burnt, things aren't up to standard. You must suffer from heartburn, stress, insomnia, or that must be just part of the lifestyle, I should imagine.
It is. It's a sad way of looking at it, but it is common for people to have stress, anxiety, and even depression at times. We do take for granted how we feel when we are not actually working. When you have your days off, or your day off, because normally you don't have more than one, you don't make the most of that day. You just take it for granted because it's just like, oof, your body just shuts down and you don't actually enjoy even your days off. And it is sad. People do have lots of stress and anxiety. They lose the will to go to work, really. I can say it with my own personal experience. I eventually got sick of catering, and I still love it, but I'm not sure if I would go back.
So because it's such a high pressurized environment, your day off is really just to probably try and recover, try and sleep, try and relax a little bit. But then, as you say, you've only got the one day, you're back in front of those kitchens again the next day. So possibly people will sort of go into kitchens. Do you think they're aware when, for example, you go to catering college to start learning things? Do you think people are made aware of the high pressure environment they're going to be working in?
I think the biggest mistake you can make is just jump straight into a catering college without actually seeing the job from the inside. Even if you're just the pot washer, you need to actually physically see it before you decide to take on this type of career. I decided to go into actual professional chefing, we could say, because I was enjoying the life within catering. Because when I was 18, I began to work in the summers to make my money to be able to study. I would work, and this was one of the worst things that could happen. I was getting paid daily. So every night I'd be going out, spending the money I made on that day, but I was enjoying actually catering life. It's good up to a point. I guess you get to an age, not that I'm very old, but you get to an age where your body doesn't want so much work and party, basically.
One question I've got for you, Callum. If we think about all the top chefs, most of them are men. Why are most of the top chefs men?
It's a very difficult question to answer. I do ask the question to myself at times. You will see also just normal chefs, not even top chefs. Most of them are men. I'm not sure exactly of the reason, but the type of what do I want to say, the ambience in the kitchens are very manly sort of. I'm a bit scared of what I'm going to answer to this question, but it's sort of it's very, in my opinion, it can be quite a bit of a sexist sort of way of being within the kitchens, that what people would describe typical men, let's say. So maybe it does deter women from getting into this type of industry, but also because in this industry men seem to prefer other men to be in charge. I'm not sure why.
It's interesting that I think, I'm particularly thinking of Angela Hartnett. She's a very famous female chef, and she worked underneath Gordon Ramsay, and I think she's got her own career which is flourishing now. I saw her on the TV on one of the sort of Top Chef programs the other day. But there are very, very few, and I'm always intrigued because when you talk to men, a lot of men enjoy cooking as relaxation. They love doing Italian food or Chinese food or Indian food. They like to cook with relaxation as the main point of it, sort of thing, as well as obviously the food to eat afterwards. So I do wonder why so many go into chefing. Maybe it is because it is the high pressurized environment, and
Yeah,
maybe,
well, that's adrenaline rush you do get from the pressure is actually one of the enjoyable parts of catering as well. It's a disadvantage, but it's also an advantage. I enjoyed that rush you would get of pressure and stress. It does eventually catch up with you. I'm not sure if it has to do with being a woman or being a man. I think it has to do a lot with your character and what you enjoy. If you enjoy stress, then it's a perfect job for you.
I mean, I think we look at Gordon Ramsay as the type of person who's always shouting, reducing people to tears, throwing them out, and as you say, a lot of that could be for TV as well. What made you transition then from being a chef to going into teaching? How did that come about?
Okay, so if I give you a bit of history, as I said, I began working in the summers. I was actually working as a bartender, and I enjoyed this quite a lot. But in the restaurant I was working with, I was always helping the woman in the kitchen because there was so much work. When I had a bit of free time, I would help her maybe make the pizzas or whatever I could do very quickly to help her and just take the workload off her. Then this is when I started to think, okay, I enjoy this. I'm going to go into catering, into the catering college. I spent 2 years studying. And with the company I did my internship with, that was in Valencia, in the center of Valencia, they offered me to go and work in the Milan Expo in 2015, I think it was, working in the Spanish pavilion. It wasn't very well paid, but you had free accommodation, free food, travel, and everything. And this is when I began to think, okay, I'm going to make the most of my love of traveling with the love of the job I'm doing at the moment. I thought this could be the beginning of a good future of traveling and working. But every 6 months, more or less, let's say I kept changing maybe jobs or companies. And there was actually one person that I would see every now and again that would always say to me, so what are you doing now then, Callum? And this would be because every time I saw him, I was doing something different. I think I never actually felt 100% happy in the job I was doing. I was very good at it, I have to say, but I don't think it fulfilled my expectations. I have followed sort of the same path as my mum. She went into catering at some point of her life when she was younger. Not exactly the same as me, but within the same industry. And she eventually did become also an English teacher and was working until very recently in an international school. And she always used to say to me, you should go into teaching, you should go into teaching. And I would always be against this idea. No, I don't like teaching. I don't like teaching. I've tried it once before and the student I had was terrible. I think it's just bad experiences and it kept me going with another career path. Eventually, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, thinking I want to have a better lifestyle, maybe make less money, but I think quality of life is more important. So it was 2 summers ago now, 2 or 3. Oof, time goes very quickly. I think it was 2. I did my CELTA course, that's the qualification for teaching English. And this is where it all began. I finished the course, and as soon as I finished, I found a job in an English academy. And I decided, let's try this, let's see how it goes. If I enjoy it, then let's continue. And it has been going well ever since. I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm now actually studying a degree in teaching that I never imagined myself studying in university because I'm not the best student in the world, but I do consider myself being a good enough teacher. I'm just developing this career a bit later than I would have liked, but I'm developing now and I do see a very good future for myself.
So your mum must be very, very proud of you. You've taken her advice.
Eventually, yes, eventually. But I think this was something that had to be. My grandparents were both in education. My mum's in education. My dad is actually an accountant, but he's also been in education at different times because he was an accountant for this international school I was talking to you about. And he did teach IT and maths. This had to be. At some point of my life, I had to become a teacher. I think it's just following the family.
So when you were small, did you have any ideas of what you wanted to do when you were little?
The funniest idea I had when I was little was that I wanted to be a bin man. Yes, the ones that you see hanging off the back of the lorries. Because I remember, for example, just being in the car with my parents and then seeing them go by with the lorries and then these two guys hanging off the back, and I said, that looks fun. And that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't actually think about what the job was. I just thought that looks like a good job, hanging off the back of a lorry. Um, but on a serious note, the pilot was actually a big consideration for me. I really wanted to become a pilot, but the funds to become a pilot were quite hard to get at the time. And that's it, really. I've also liked business in general. When I was really small, again, I would go to my sister's bedroom with a board full of toys and stuff that I had, and I'd put prices underneath them, and I'd try and sell my things to my sister. So I've always been interested in what's sales, basically. So it's a big mixture of things that have gone through my mind since I was little until now. I've still been having doubts. But I think now I have finally decided that this is the right thing for me.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, Callum, what do you do to relax?
To relax. I haven't been doing it much recently, but I like to go out on my bike and just add kilometers and kilometers to my route. My longest route in August, I think it was about 80 kilometers. I've started recently, as I say, doing this biking, but I was getting quite good at it. I need to start again. But yeah, going out on my bike relaxes me a lot because you spend at least a couple of hours out on the bike. And it's just time where all you can hear are your thoughts, the wind that might be hitting you, and the tires going along the road. And I like to go along very quiet paths where I live, and there's not many cars, not much traffic. A time where I'm actually doing exercise, but at the same time I'm sort of reflecting on anything I have in my mind.
And have you still been going out during the pandemic? Have you still been cycling?
But basically, August was the last time I went out because when I started studying at university, I was getting again into my private lessons. I work on Saturdays also. Didn't feel really like it. Just wanted to relax by watching TV, as most people like to do nowadays.
What's one question I should ask you?
One question you should ask me.
I think this is a brilliant question, and I've borrowed this from Paul McKenna. He has got a podcast which I absolutely adore, and when he interviews famous people, and his last question is, what's one question I should have asked you? And you generally get some really interesting stuff comes out. So, Callum.
It's a very good question, but it's a very difficult one as well, I would have to say, because I don't want to just come up with the first thing that comes to my mind. A question I do like when people ask normally, also that you use a lot in English teaching, is where do you see yourself in 5 years or in 10 years' time? This for me is quite an interesting question because you don't necessarily know where you're going to be, but you do have a goal or something that you want to achieve. So I quite enjoy this question. This question could be an interesting one. In 5 years' time, I would say that hopefully I finished my degree. If I'm still studying this, because I might be doing a master's. But as I say, hopefully I'll be finished with the studying. I actually found a position in a school, and also to be able to have my own place to live in. Obviously, where I live now isn't my own place. I would really enjoy having my own place and remodeling it and doing anything just to make it my house, basically. So yeah, that could be one thing. Finish my studying, have a nice position in a nice school, and have my own place with obviously a little bit of garden near some roads to go out on my bike. And another possibility could also be to actually, instead of having a job, is to open my own business. Because again, going back to, I enjoy the sales and business in general, I would like to focus a business on learning, whether it's English learning or another type of learning, I'm not sure, but some sort of academy, we could say. Maybe in 5 years' time, I think it could be possible. It was one of my goals for 2020, before I did decide to start studying. but the pandemic has changed a lot of our plans. So maybe this plan could be born again within 5 years, I think.
Well, it certainly seems you've got quite a lot on your 5-year plan. So, Callum, thank you so much for being a guest. Wish you lots of luck with your 5-year plan. And thank you very much for your time on the All About You podcast.
Thank you very much, Sheila. It's been nice being here.
Thank you, Callum. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget, if you have a story you would like to tell, please get in touch. My email address is allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com, and thank you for listening.